Devil's Workshop number 13. This is September 17th. My name is Freeman Michaels, and my goal is the complete and total freedom of every human being on the planet. This video was going to be kind of a summary about, even though I've kind of done a live stream about this before and I've hinted to this before, but I really wanted to solidify the difference between preparing for the end of the world and preparing for, at least what I'm doing, preparing for Utopia. And the difference is a lot of times the start is the same. You want to become self-sufficient and independent. You don't want to have to rely on the store, which is going to be closed. You know, everything is going to turn into The Walking Dead and whatnot. And that's a good first step, but it's kind of a dark and depressing lifestyle if you're just going to be preparing for the end of the world. And it's like, what are you going to do? Spend 10 years in your bunker waiting for things to get bad enough where you'd rather be in your bunker. So that to me is not overly appealing. So what I want to do is, even though I think the world is heading in the direction of The Walking Dead, and even if we're not going to get literal zombies, it's like the way people are addicted to their phones nowadays. It's like you might as well just assume that there's going to be a zombie apocalypse. And I don't think it's going to be the type of thing that's going to just break out all at once like you have in the movies, but I think things are going to get progressively worse, and I'd like to prepare for that and demonstrate a way that people can live and prepare to live a better lifestyle than they've been living now. And it's unfortunate it took a whole societal crash for us to realize how bad chasing currency and capitalism is, but kind of take that as an opportunity that it is. So you can prepare for some disaster and just assume everything's going to get worse, or you can do something similar to what I'm doing, and that's prepare for Utopia. Energy is kind of the key to everything, and one of the big differences that I'm doing here in my setup, so my goal is to not need capitalism for anything, and that basically means you never need to go to the store. I'm okay with buying things that are difficult to manufacture. Like if I needed a new computer or a solar panel, I'm not going to buy any of or generate any of those things yet. It's just one person and some friends doing the similar things. But anything that you need to go to the store for on a regular basis, it's like start there. And that means growing food, that means storing rice and freezing food, and then being able to handle a power outage and not have all that stuff go bad. One of the big differences that from what I'm doing than other people that have done solar, like the first common one is a grid tied solution where people generally buy 85% of the panels you need. You're not legally allowed to install more because when you're tied to the grid, the energy company doesn't want to pay you money for having too many panels or saving electricity. They definitely want you to keep paying them. Also in the grid-tied system, you generally have gas appliances and whatnot. The goal here isn't actually an energy balance. It's just to offset your cost, and that's a big shift. I don't think that's a good way to go, because if you're just trying to save money and trying to not need money, those two goals can diverge, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Other solar configurations, people buy more panels and they have batteries, but then they buy the number of panels required to get their batteries charged on a cloudy day by like maybe 2 o'clock. There's some formula that they go through. So that's a little more expensive. You have a little more panels and you have more battery packs. And in this situation, you also get rid of all of your gas appliances and get rid of all your electric appliances and switch to gas. And it's still not completely off of capitalism, because if you need some sort of gas fuel to heat and do things, then where are you getting that? It's like, well, if you're creating your own propane, congratulations, but most people don't do that. So then there's what I'm doing, this rainbows and unicorns. For me, you can never have too many solar panels, because to me, energy represents the ability to do something, and the more panels you have, the more stuff you can do. And rather than running things off of a battery, I'm almost viewing the battery as a buffer and running things kind of more off of the sun. So I have more panels then, which like the batteries will be charged by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then with that extra energy that's just getting thrown away, it's like your batteries are already charged. What are you doing? Then you can do all these other things with it. That's a big difference. I'll get into that more. So it's real quick again. So the grid tied, it's like you get enough panels to offset 85% of your cost, but you're still tied to capitalism. So that's not, it really doesn't help you long term if capitalism is going to fail. Batteries, you move all your appliances to gas, you size the battery bank to match your overnight needs. That's another one of those things that you have range anxiety. That's a big one I'm going to talk about. Because with batteries, you can use about half of them. And then when you get close to that, 12 volt, if you have a 12 volt battery, if you get to that 12 volt mark, you don't want to use any more because it's like that kind of stresses the battery out and it makes them not last as long. So you have range anxiety when you have a battery system that you just basically don't want to use stuff overnight. And in the winter, when the nights are long, that becomes even worse. They're more expensive, like I said, range anxiety, and you still have to purchase gas. And then what I'm doing, you never have enough solar panels, and the goal isn't to have a huge, massive battery bank in order to do things at night. The goal is to use energy during the day such that you won't need that large amount of electricity at night. So it's a different setup. So one example of that would be you could heat a bunch of water during the day with this free excess energy and then use the heated water at night, as opposed to a normal traditional system where you would generally, it's like everything's on demand. It's like when you're tied to the grid, it's like the energy is even cheaper at night, which doesn't make any sense. It's like that's when you're burning coal and using dirty energy, and then that's when the energy company tells you it's cheap. And then during the day, when it should be free and abundant, that's when it's most expensive. So the grid system is totally backwards. One of the big mental shifts that I made in this is like you don't want to look at the system as how long is it going to take for you to make your money back. And I think that's what a lot of people do when they buy solar panels. It's like, okay, well, how long is it going to pay for itself? Well, if your goal is to save money, that's a relevant question. I'm not trying to waste money, but what I'm trying to do is use money now such that I don't need to use money later. And if you buy a bunch of panels now, those panels for the rest of their life are going to give you energy, and you can use that energy to get services you need. As opposed to using the panels to save money on your electric bill and then using that saved money in the future, which you probably won't even notice. It's like a few $1,000s here in the future. It's like give yourself long enough and you won't notice the what seems like a large amount of money. And so that's a big difference. The goal is to not need money to live. And the way I look at it is like you're kind of buying yourself out of capitalism. So you can lease a car for a while, but then you're going to have to give it back, and you're still tied to earning money and leasing it. But it's like if you buy a car and you could keep it running, then that will last you even if you don't have a job. So big question is like, what do you do with all the extra energy? And it's kind of limitless. I mean, at this point, it's like I don't really have that many capabilities. I don't have that much extra energy, and I can't melt steel and stuff like. It's like I don't have this manufacturing capability, but that's kind of the goal. If large numbers of people and communities have excess energy, then they can do all these things that they normally wouldn't be able to do. So initially, water is a big one. Having clean water to grow food and drink is huge. The municipal water system is cheap if you want to get a large number of water. If you want to get a large amount of water, but it's expensive if you want to get a small amount because they generally charge, like here, they charge like a $50 sewer fee just to be here. Even like I used 1 unit of water my first month here, and it was still like $52. So, but if you use 1,000 units of water, it's only like $60. So it's like that's way cheaper than buying bottled water. And figure out how you can apply all run all your appliances on electricity. Obviously they have electric appliances for pretty much anything, and It's a matter of shifting your life such that you can use the available energy during the day and then not stress your batteries at night. And one of the things that I've been working on is the longer term storage, because batteries, they're not so good at storing large amount of electricity. They're good at bringing the electricity right when you need it, but if you want to storage a large amount, it's like batteries are kind of too expensive of an option. So I've been looking at, with the extra energy, compressing a bunch of air and then using that compressed air overnight to turn a motor and a generator to charge my batteries. So those are creative things that you would never do if you were in a grid-tied system. But if you have free energy during the day, and that's the key, it's like when you have a lot of solar panels, you have free energy. You might as well use it. It's like, even if I expend 10 kilowatts of energy to compress all this air and I only get 1 kilowatt back, if that 10 kilowatts of energy was free, then having that nighttime kilowatt of energy would be nice. And just as a barometer, your car battery is generally a kilowatt hour. That's the capacity. So it's like when you fill up your gas tank, the capacity is 10 gallons. The capacity of a battery is either measured in amp hours or watt hours. So your car battery is 1200 watt hours or 1.2 kilowatt hours. So if you could have a full car battery's energy available to charge your batteries overnight for free without range anxiety, like you can deplete all the air in the compressed air tanks and charge the battery, and you're not going to harm the tanks. But if you drain a battery too much past its halfway point, it's pretty much dead, or you're going to kill it sooner. So it's nice to have an extra amount of energy available overnight that was either free or it only came at the opportunity cost of doing something else with that energy. And when you have a lot of energy excess, you can do excess entertainment. So I just put Burning Man there because that's pretty excessive. So what do you do with the extra energy? It's like anything that you need to go to the store for and buy from, try and figure out how you can get that with this extra energy. And whether or not that's growing food or purifying water, heating your place, cooling your place, whatever it is. It's like you have this extra energy. And the goal is to become like a producing node. And like when I talk about a cooperative economy and I say everyone should be self-sufficient and independent, it would be nice if every individual was, but a lot of people don't have even, a spare $200 to start something like this. So it's like either you become it or you work with someone or work with a group of people, and together that node, whether it's an individual or a group of people and their friends all combining, it's like you want to become a producing node. Like not only do you want to be able to be self-sufficient and independent with everything you need within that node, but with all the people working in it, but you want to be able to give something to your neighbors. And that's really when it's key. If you become a producing node to sell it, then your motivations get a little bit challenged and off, because all of a sudden now you're looking for things that people are going to buy instead of things that you need to live. So if you're producing the things that you need to live, you're generally going to produce them in abundance. Like capitalism, everything should be scarce because then you can maximize your profit. But if you're growing food, you don't grow just enough berries for you. You grow, 3 or 4 times the amount, because that seems what plants do, and you take care of them. And then you can give away the excess. So it's like you become a node that is producing. And the goal would be to have lots of nodes around of areas of producing, basically using free energy. And you shift your focus. And this is the big shift. Like this is why I've been having trouble getting people to see changing to this lifestyle would really benefit them, because everything we've been programmed to, the way we think, it's like everything is just through the lens of making money. We all chase money to live. And you can't get by. I mean, I understand you need money to pay rent and health and whatnot, but what you want to do is start to shift some of your energy, some of your daily focus into, instead of thinking about how you can save money and getting a better job and all that stuff, how can you start getting some of the things you need outside of capitalism. And my favorite example of how to start is just to getting a few 100-watt panels and a 12-volt battery. Like they sell it in all-in-one kits, like but it's like a little battery box, like a camping battery box, and it has an inverter inside and then solar charging. You plug a couple solar panels into it, and you can put a freezer into it, a fridge and a freezer, and use that full time. And now all of a sudden, if the power goes out, if something ever happens, at least your frozen food and all the other food, it's like it doesn't go bad. And that right there, okay, if you look at it as, how long is it going to take to save me money if I do that? I'm like, who cares? Because once you've spent that money, then your food is frozen for as long as that equipment lasts. That's a security that you can have. And you will learn how to get started, and then you will realize that that money that you spent with that can be used for other things. Like you will probably have a surplus of energy. Maybe you can put up some landscaping lights or whatever. It's like there's all these things you can do with solar energy and getting started with these batteries. And it's like you don't have to do a massive grid-tied system. You don't need a permit to do all that stuff. It's just almost like camping. So you want to shift your focus from how can I save money to how can I use money today such that I won't need to continue using money later. So how can I use this local energy that I receive to get the life's basics? And that's this, be creative. What is it? What are the things that we can be doing with all this extra energy? So then the question is like, once you quit your job and you're not working 40 hours a week, and I feel like that's it's like people don't even really have golden years anymore. It's like you work your whole life, you're probably not going to have enough for retirement or healthcare, you're probably going to go bankrupt, and then you're going to spend, like people are getting cancer and shit all the time in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And it's like, when do you get to live? And it's like, so you spend your life working 40 hours a week, you got to deal with kids and relationships and finances and all sorts of shit. And you don't have any time for yourself. You don't have time to be, you don't have any time to grow. Whereas what I'm doing, it's like, okay, I would estimate these are bullshit numbers, but if you're working with your friends to cooperate and doing something like this, it's probably about 10 hours a week for maintenance, like growing food, trimming whatever, wiping down the solar panels. Like it's not that much work just to maintain. It's not that much work to become a farmer. It's only a lot of work to become a farmer and do that stuff if you're trying to make money. If you're just trying to grow food, it becomes a lot easier and a lot simpler. So you have 10 hours a week of probably maintaining. You're going to have to work with your friends or family, whoever you've decided to commune with. And then the remaining time, it's like, what do you want to do? And so I don't know what people are going to do. I think most people don't want to be stagnant. Most people want to build up their homes and make it better. If you are becoming a producing node and all of a sudden you can produce something that your neighborhood really likes and you've done it for free and you'll see all the smiles and you start to build a community, I think you will be motivated to become producing even more, and you'll probably even inspire some of your neighbors to start doing the same. And that's really how all of this works. Their time is free to spend how they want it, as long as they shift enough of their focus to stop trying to save money and more try to figure out how they can use free energy from the sun or wherever else. Most likely it's from the sun. Free energy from the sun on how to live and get the basics of life.